The New York Jets are on the road for the first time of the 2025 season as they are set to travel to Tampa Bay this Sunday to take on the 2-0 Buccaneers. I'll break down the injury report, give my 3 keys to victory for the Jets, and ultimately my score prediction. But before we get into that, welcome back, everybody, to the Turn Up the Jets YouTube channel. As always, your host, Joe Scurto. Please subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Like the video if you've actually liked it. You could also follow me on social media platforms such as on X and on Instagram. The Jets are trying to find their first victory in the 2025 season under head coach Aaron Glenn, and it will be once again against a familiar face in the Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles, who ultimately coached the Jets, of course, in 2015 to 2018. His only winning season was that 10-6 year in 2015, that magical Fitzpatrick run that abruptly ended in week 17 against the Buffalo Bills. Let's not think of that. But Bowles has really made a name for himself in Tampa Bay. Of course, won a Super Bowl in 2020 as defensive coordinator, and then the successor of Bruce Arians, and has continued to lead the way even without Tom Brady, finding Baker Mayfield, who is now a surefire top 10 quarterback, one of the better stories in the NFL. He's going to be very difficult to go against. And this Buccaneers team, let's face it, they're really good. They've been 2-0 for the last 5 consecutive years. That's the longest active streak in the NFL. The Chiefs don't even have that. The Eagles don't even own that. Buccaneers have been the epitome, I would say, of consistent over the last couple of years. Of course, they've been in the playoffs year in, year out, but the only Super Bowl appearance was in 2020 when they had Brady, obviously, defeating the Chiefs. And for the Jets, we all know the news. They're the underdogs at plus 6.5. Not many people are giving them a chance. Of course, backup Tyrod Taylor is leading the way for the Jets offense, making, I believe, his 60th NFL start. Let's dive into this injury report to really start things off here for the Jets and the Buccaneers. There's a lot of people banged up in this game. Like there's quite a few for both teams. The Jets have the longer injury list, but the Buccaneers have way more impactful players out, not only for this game, but for deeper. We'll get into that, but let's dive into the Jets first. Of course, Justin Fields ruled out on Wednesday by Aaron Glenn. Tyrod Taylor, the starter, so of course he did not practice today. This video is being made Thursday. It will be dropping Friday. I don't know if a lot will change, but with Jermaine Johnson, hopefully things change. Trending downward with that ankle injury, the Jets are probably going to be very cautious here, and we're really looking at Michael Clemens starting the opposite side of Will McDonald here at the edge position. He did not practice again. Kano Ngannou, he got injured in that first week against the Steelers, which was the reasoning why Xavier Gibson was even in there to fumble. He didn't play last week, and it looks like he's also not going to play this week, battling a hamstring injury. Reynolds, another guy who didn't play last week with the hamstring, has not practiced all week. Jake DeFalli's battling an illness. He's looking like he's not playing. Tony Adams didn't practice on Wednesday, but was limited today with a hip injury. We might see a little more Malachi Moore. I hope so, but I won't give my hopes up, rather. Michael Carter II, shoulder injury. He was limited today. Marcelino McCray-Ball, hamstring, been limited all week, probably going to play. Andre Sisco was on the report with shoulder, but full practice the last 2 days. Same with Sauce Gardner, full practice the last 2 days with the groin injury. And Kiko Mwagu, the rookie out of Miami, has been a full practice participant with an elbow injury. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Bucs just are getting smoked by injuries, and to say the least. I mean, like, they have gotten absolutely smoked, and we'll look at this right now. Emeka Egbuka, this is a huge storyline now. He hasn't practiced all week. Hip and groin. They're already going to miss, most likely, Chris Godwin Jr., as you see below him, ankle injury. He hasn't played all year. It was from that season-ending ankle injury he had last year against the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't think he is going to play. Another guy who has not played all season is their star tackle, Tristan Wirfs. His projected time is probably going to be week 5. He's been activated, but he's been limited. So I don't expect him to particularly be playing. But we will obviously see there. Cody Mao, their guard from North Dakota, he is ruled out for the whole entire year. He's not even on the report here with a knee injury. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Servorcia Dennis, I definitely mangled that. He has been limited participant with an ankle injury. Hassan Reddick, with the Jets fans all know and love, right? He's in the injury report, the shoulder, but it looks like he's going to play. Limited yesterday, full today. Baker Mayfield had that scare in the game a couple days ago, but it does not look like it's going to be anything crazy here. As I think they're just being probably just cautious with Baker. So again, they've gotten absolutely smoked with injuries. And it could be a big storyline here. It really could be. And Cody Mao, like I mentioned, he is done for the season. Luke Godeke, their right tackle, opposite of Wirfs, is now going to miss extended time with the foot injury. I believe he's going to be out, I think, at least 4 or 5 weeks. And Kalijah Cansey, their star D tackle, is on the injury reserve, and he had a torn pectoral, and he is out for the year. So this team got absolutely smoked with injuries this year. And it's only been 2 weeks. And if Ibuka doesn't play, they're going to be down multiple receivers. Of course, they have Mike Evans, who, he's pretty good, right? He's had 1,000 yards in every single season in his entire NFL career. And they're lucky. They're so stacked and deep, but 3 starting offensive linemen are most likely going to be out for this game. And that's when I'll start my 3 keys to victory. It all starts with taking advantage of that. The Jets didn't take advantage of the Bills' banged up defensive line last week. They couldn't run the ball. They looked like crap on offense. But for the defense of the Jets, they need to take advantage of guys coming in on practice squads or getting signed earlier this week, because this offensive line now has, to the start of the year, their depth chart, they only have 2 starters who were supposed to start the year as starters. They've lost 3. And again, I don't think Wirfs will play here. I would be shocked. I know Godeke is definitely out, as I said, projected probably week 7. Mao is out for the year. I've mentioned that numerous times. So like Quinnen Williams, Harrison Phillips, McDonald, and maybe Michael Clemens, these guys have to take advantage of that. They need to put pressure on Baker. Make Baker uncomfortable. We know what Baker can do with really off-scripted plays. He thrives in it. He's not the most athletic. He's not the most talented, but he's just a football player. And what he did against Houston was unreal, especially that last drive where he almost got injured. He can do that. He can take the ball and run. But the Jets need to really break down the pocket here so that doesn't happen. So they don't have broken plays that go for first downs. The Buccaneers did that a lot last week against Houston. The Jets need to avoid that, because they will hurt you if they're able to do that. We saw it clearly. They go in and they win that game, really given no chance at the very end. But Baker magic. So the Jets' defensive line is going to be very key for this game. Simple. You got to put pressure on the quarterback. They weren't able to really wrap up Allen last week. I think they only sacked him once, and that was it. And I know Baker's not 6'5", 250, but he's tough to sack too. But, Houston did a good job. Houston put a ton of pressure on him last week. He was super uncomfortable. Still won the game, and that's why he's dangerous. But he was super uncomfortable last week. And I thought Houston has a great defense. Houston's defense is better than the Jets, at least right now, because the Jets defense has been insanely disappointing. Steve Wilkes has been insanely disappointing. This was a defense that I really only had hope for. Like, the only unit I had hope for this year for the Jets was the defense. Like, I'm thinking top 5, top 7 defense. They're not even cracking top 15 right now. They've given up almost more points than any team in the NFL. But this is This is the chance for them to really ruin the game plan for the Buccaneers offense. You got to take advantage of their banged up offensive line. It's so key. Also, another thing is a turnover. Can the Jets get a turnover? Can you just jump on a ball? Can you just jump on a fumble, please? Or get a tip drill and pick it off, something weird. Just turn over the football. They've only made 2 turnovers between offense and special teams, but they have 0. They have 0 turnovers. You need to at least get a turnover. I don't care if it's on defense. I don't care if it's on special teams. You need to at least make the field shorter for this offense, who is going in with the backup quarterback, with a guy who hasn't started in over 600 days. You have to make their job easier. And the Jets defense has not been able to do that. Every time there's a turnover right in their hands, the guy slips or they drop it, or it's just, they have no luck in terms of that. They just can't seem to get a turnover, and it dates back to the old regime with Saleh. Like, they just have not been a good defense in terms of turning the football over. You got to do it here. You have to. If you want any shot winning this game on the road, where you're not really even predicted to be in the game, they're predicting you lose almost by a touchdown, you need to win the turnover battle. And my key number 3, throw the ball downfield. Screw it. Enough of this, like, quarterback on a leash and throwing these short passes. You saw it with Rodgers last year. He barely threw the ball downfield. It was quick checkdowns. He even did it against the Jets week 1. Zach Wilson was literally never threw the ball downfield. Justin Fields, he had that 30-yard completion to Garrett Wilson and the 20-yard completion to Mason Taylor week 1. Yeah. But that was it. Tyrod Taylor is a veteran. He likes to push the ball downfield, and you need to play by his strengths. He's not Justin Fields. He's a better thrower of the football. He's more accurate in the deep passing game. Take advantage of that. CJ Stroud was able to complete some big passes. Yeah, you got Nico Collins, but the Jets have Garrett Wilson. Michael Penix threw for 298 yards in week 1 against this secondary. The secondary, very, very good, but it's doable to at least push the ball downfield versus them. This defensive line is going to get tons of pressure. We all know that. Todd Bowles loves to blitz. Will Tyrod have time to throw a deep ball? I don't know. I hope so. I hope the offensive line holds up. I think they're good enough to hold up, especially even against a defensive line led by Vita Vea, who's one of the better defensive tackles in the league. But you know you're going to be blitzed. But sometimes when teams blitz as much as Todd Bowles, there's going to be some openings in the deep passing game. It just is. If you have to go man coverage every time, someone's going to break their assignment at some point. And you have to be able to take advantage on any little mistake that the defense makes if you're Tyrod Taylor and the Jets offense. So I'd love to see them throw a deep ball. I'd love to see Arian Smith be involved in the deep passing game. We really haven't seen much of anything of him. All I know is in training camp, those two and Taylor and Smith had really, really good chemistry because, of course, they were participating in the second team, and Smith was basically the number 1 on the second team, Taylor being the backup quarterback. They developed a lot of good chemistry and did really well in those jointed practices. Of course, they didn't get to go to the preseason together because Tyrod was hurt, but they have that type of chemistry. Tyrod obviously has some with Garrett too, just being in mop-up roles and, appearing on the first team here, here and there with the Fields injury, or again, mop-up roles against the Bills mostly, and 49ers dating way back of last year. But I would just really like to see the Jets develop a passing game in which you're aggressive and you're pushing the ball downfield. That's something we don't really see too often. And I think Taylor is a quarterback who is aggressive enough. He has the experience and he's going to have the confidence. This dude's been playing football, NFL football, for 15 years. So do it. That's the advantage you can have with Tyrod. And you're going to have to make some big plays because this is a very, very, very aggressive Tampa Bay defense who can just ruin your day. Played really, really well last week against the Texans. I keep going back to that game, but hey, we only have 2 games to go by. They played really well last week, I thought, for the most part, again, containing CJ Stroud. Gave up some big runs to Nick Chubb, which, bodes well for Breece Hall. Of course, you got to establish the run to start this game. I mean, that's not even the key to victory. I think that's just a known fact that the Jets need to develop a run game. They weren't able to do that last week because they got down so quickly and it was just an absolute mess. But for this week, you got to be able to have some big runs with Breece. Breece is capable of doing it. Like I said, I believe in the offensive line, even though this is a really good D line. They just got to try to do it. So those are really my keys to this game. And the prediction, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning this football game. I'm going to go 30-20. I think the Jets defense needs to figure it out. I don't have a lot of confidence in them, and I hope they prove me wrong. But I do have the Bucs covering the spread by 10. Maybe on Sunday, I might change my mind being at the game and take the Jets spread, but I'm going 30-20. Tampa's a really, really good team. They are. And I just hope the game is somewhat close, and I hope the Jets prove me wrong here, but they have given me nothing to pick them the first 2 weeks. And now you have a backup quarterback. And I get it. The Buccaneers have a ton of injuries, a ton. And if the Jets win this game, that's probably where the people are going to go, oh, well, all these guys are injured. No, the Buccaneers are still a way better football team with or without these injuries. Let's be real here. This is a team who's been competing for the playoffs the last 5 or more years. And then they get Baker Mayfield after Brady and just continue to win the division. It doesn't matter. This is a really good team in their home stadium. It's their home opener. They're wearing their creamsicle jerseys, which I've heard a stat statistically they're not really good at, really good while wearing those jerseys. But I'm not really going to dive into that. That's just superstitious stats. But yes, the Jets just haven't really given me anything to pick them in this game. I know Jets fans, there are Jets fans that are confident in this game. I don't know. I'm more so just curious, as I mentioned in my last video. Not really optimistic, more curious. Hope the Jets prove me wrong, but appreciate everybody that has watched the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you've actually liked it. You could also follow me on social media platforms such as X and on Instagram @Jets, all one word. I will be posting the recap next week. I'm in Tampa Bay, so most likely Tuesday. As I said, if the Jets get a big win, I fly in Monday night. Maybe I'll put a video up there. It's going to most likely be Tuesday. But appreciate you, as always. And until next time, see ya.